Did you know that some sea creatures are so big that in ancient times people thought they were monsters? These include the kraken and the sea serpent. What about the jellyfish and the man-sized crayfish or the 33-foot-long snake? And what do you know about a creature called the leader of all time? What does this leader look like, and how huge is it? You're about to find out. In this episode, I'll show you the biggest creature of all time and also tell you about the other biggest creatures in the history of our planet. Let's start our journey from the sea. There are many fish in the oceans and seas, but not every fish can compare with the herring king. Looking at the shots on which this fish is held by several people at once, it seems as if it is a photo montage, or at least a toy fish. But there's no deception here, because the herring king is really very big. It is the longest living bony fish. On average, it's about 10 feet long, but fishermen often catch specimens that are 20 to 23 or 26 feet long. The largest one ever caught was 36 feet long. For its incredible performance, the herring king got into the Guinness Book of Records and got another name, fish belt. It's like the belt of some huge creature. By the way, herring kings are thought to be the prototypes of the legendary sea serpents. Scientists believe that in ancient times, when the herring king was not described as a species, fishermen were really scared to see such a fish and thought it was an evil monster. But this fish is not dangerous to humans. Firstly, it lives at a decent depth, and secondly, it eats crustaceans, small fish, and squid. Not every kind of squid in the ocean is suitable for the herring king. However, squid are different. Giant squid simply won't fit in the throat of the herring king. It'll be the opposite. If we consider the herring king to be the prototype of the sea serpent, then the giant squid is the one that was taken for the sinister kraken. If the kraken does exist, it's probably somewhere in the uncharted depths of the sea. There's no doubt about it. These huge cephalopods have been of interest to scientists for more than 100 years. It's incredible that these animals can grow up to 46 feet in length. The eyes of a giant squid are as big as a large plate, and they weigh several hundred pounds and can reach up to half a ton. They don't like attention from the outside and prefer to stay at great depths, around several hundred feet. Sometimes they do come to the surface to pose for the cameras. Blue whales are the largest creatures on Earth. They're impressive to watch as they rise to the surface, creating amazing fountains and incredible jumps. They're also the largest animals to have ever lived. They can be up to 108 meters long, which is pretty impressive. The largest recorded specimen was a female whale that was killed by whalers in 1926. She was about 108 to 115 feet long. Of course, there are and have been creatures longer than whales on the planet, but none heavier than this giant. A blue whale can weigh well over 150 tons. A record-breaking 190-ton whale was caught in 1947. These facts are pretty incredible. A blue whale is about 25 times heavier than the African elephant, the heaviest land animal, and several thousand times heavier than a human being. It's also worth noting that despite its size, the blue whale is a real gentleman. If humpback whales or sperm whales can still attack a man or ship, the blue whale will never do it. The blue whale sails calmly through the ocean, eating plankton and making the waters roar with a piercing sound. Just so you know, the blue whale is the loudest mammal on our planet. Its roar can be louder than the sound of a rocket launch. It is a pity that such a loud, huge, and amazing animal is on the verge of extinction. When you think of jellyfish, what kind do you picture? Chances are you picture a small one. It's unlikely that your mind conjures up images of a jellyfish the size of a man. But such jellyfish do exist. The rhizostomid jellyfish is a great example of this. It usually reaches 16 inches in diameter, but in some cases it can grow up to 5 feet or more. In 2019, biologist Lizzie Daly encountered the record-breaking giant while diving off the coast of the UK with underwater filmmaker Dan Abbott. The two shared impressive footage of the colossal man-sized jellyfish. Unlike the benign blue whale, the rhizostomid jellyfish isn't completely safe. It's poisonous and can sting unpleasantly. The good news is that it feels like touching nettles, which isn't pleasant but isn't dangerous either. It all depends on the size of the jellyfish. If you take a huge jellyfish the size of a person, it can sting and leave an inflammation the size of a plate. The stung place will be sore for several hours. Tylosaurus. This monster would definitely send any man to the grave. But we don't have to worry because he's long gone. Tylosaurus lived on our planet 85 million years ago, on the territory of modern America, Japan, South Africa, Antarctica, and Russia. It was a huge mosasaur that was up to 50 feet long and weighed over 8 tons. It was the largest mosasaur in the world, and one of the largest creatures ever. Its name means ramming lizard. Scientists chose this name because of the shape of its jaws, which they saw as a battering ram to help it hunt large prey. It seems that the Tylosaurus rammed its prey, stunned it, and then mercilessly destroyed it with the help of a long jaw with very sharp teeth. The stomach contents of Tylosaurus are clear proof that it was a very dangerous predator. Inside were the remains of sharks, birds, fish, and even other mosasaurs. It seems that Tylosaurs attacked any prey. Otherwise, how can we explain such a varied diet? Long before the Tylosaurs were the most impressive creatures in the world's oceans, the Shastasaurs were kings of the water. They lived 205 million years ago, in what is now North America. The size of these ichthyosaur giants is truly impressive. They were up to 69 feet long and weighed 65 tons. It's thought that Shastasaurus grew to such a large size, so that it could dive to great depths more easily. Its size also meant it could inhale more air and stay at depth for longer than smaller ichthyosaurs. He was bigger than most marine predators of the time, so he could choose any dish he wanted for dinner. Whether it was a huge clam or a small fish, whoever got in his way, Shastasaurus handled them pretty well. It didn't attack its prey. It didn't devour it. It literally sucked it up. The jaws were so powerful that the prey had no choice but to swim into the monster's jaws, where it was trapped and couldn't escape. Jaekelopterus. The next creature in this selection isn't as big as a Shastasaurus, giant squid, or even a blue whale. It's only 8 feet long, but there's a twist. It's an arthropod. Imagine a modern crayfish, and then enlarge it by 10 times, and you get Jaekelopterus, the largest arthropod in history. Given their impressive size, it's no surprise that Jaekelopterus felt they were the kings of prehistoric bodies of water. They preferred fresh water, where they hunted small vertebrates, trilobites, and their own kind. So they've never been shy about cannibalism. It would have been pretty creepy if these giants had survived to this day, but luckily they're long gone. They died 406 million years ago. They lived in what is now Germany and the USA in the early Devonian period. Even today, there are still huge aquatic creatures out there. When it comes to fish, the whale shark is the biggest by far. It's currently the largest fish and largest shark in the world. These giants can reach up to 40 feet long and weigh several tons. For a long time, the largest reliably recorded specimen was thought to be 41 feet long. However, in the late 90s, a 65-foot-long whale shark that weighed 34 tons was reported. Fortunately, whale sharks, like whales, are safe creatures. These giants are friendly, don't get into fights with humans, and are even happy to let you swim near them. The biggest shark of all time would be very angry at its future offspring for how peacefully it treats others. I'm talking about the fearsome Megalodon. Even the whale shark pales in comparison. These prehistoric monsters weighed up to 47 tons and reached 50 feet in length. They had some of the longest and sharpest teeth of all time, with which they crushed almost everyone. The bite force of a large megalodon was enough to easily cut open a whale's ribcage. Voracity was the cause of the megalodon's extinction. But who knows? Maybe a couple of megalodons are still lurking in the ocean. What do you think? The oceans and other bodies of water aren't the only places you can find incredible giants. There are also in the sky like the golden eagle, the largest eagle in the world, or the condor, the largest flying bird in the Western Hemisphere. These birds are huge, but they're nothing compared to the all-time leader of the Pelagornis species. Members of this species are considered the largest flying birds in the history of the Earth. Their wingspan was up to 25 feet. In comparison, a golden eagle's wingspan is only 8 feet. Unfortunately, because of their size, they could not fly properly. Scientists believe that the species could only fly by jumping off cliffs and soaring. It could fly at speeds of up to 37 miles per hour. Pelagornis could travel long distances over the sea due to its wingspan, but apparently never dived. The bird was quick to grab prey floating on the surface with its beak. A deep-sea monster. Let's go back to the ocean, which is full of mysteries. We'll never be able to solve them all, but we can try to solve at least one. Finally, we'll look at an incident that happened in 2017. A remotely operated camera found on the ocean floor revealed the incredible remains of a spine more than 98 feet long. The diver who operated the camera couldn't determine whose remains he'd found, so he sent the video to scientists, including a paranormal researcher. No one could figure out what the diver and his camera had stumbled upon. People came up with all kinds of ideas. Some thought it was a blue whale, a record herring king, or a colossal sea snake. But the size didn't match what was found. It was then thought that they were the remains of an ancient creature that no one had ever seen before. It's possible, but in this case, the remains would have probably turned into fossils. So what if they are the remains of an unknown giant that scientists haven't yet described? What if it is he and not the blue whale that is the largest creature of all time? The ocean, after all, holds many mysteries yet to be solved, and the mysterious remains of a giant may be one of them. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you seen any of the huge animals with your own eyes?